We'll open up today's show with a Sicko Satchel segment. Giannis, he's out of the playoffs. We got to find the local angle. Should the Hornets go after him? We'll give you a season in review episode as well with Moussa Diabate, and then, of course, give you a mock draft. That's all today on Locked On Hornets.
You are Locked On Hornets, your daily Charlotte Hornets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
In a minute, cuz we live.
It's Locked On Hornets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Thanks for making us your first listen. We're free and available anywhere you get your podcast, and that includes YouTube. There's Doug Branson. You can find him on his Substack, everyhornetsboxscore.com. He's also hosting Locked On NBA. I'm Walker Mail. Listen to me on WFNZ every weekday from 12 to 3 p.m. This episode is brought to you by Gametime. Gametime? Download the Gametime app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. And we have some news for the people at the top of the show. This is the time where I tell you about a new newsletter. It's been a running theme that the newsletter has been new for quite some time. Well, now it's old.
No.
All in a day's time. Now it's old. Tell them, Doug.
Oh, so the newsletter is no more, but I refuse to say, we've already chatted about this, Walker. I refuse to say it's old. It's forever young, and now it will, now that we're not doing it anymore, that we tried it, it was cool, it was neat, we're not doing it anymore. But guess what? I'm still writing on Every Hornets Boxscore, which you can sign up for free, and let me know in the comments if you liked what we were doing with the Locked On newsletter, the sort of daily show recaps. I was putting a lot of my opinions in there. So I thought it was cool. Like if you missed a show, it was an easy way in your inbox. If you're into that, I could start doing that on Every Hornets Boxscore and make that available free. So let me know if that was something you're interested in keeping going. Hit me up in the comments. But we're not going to be doing it through Locked On anymore. But it's forever young. Forever young.
That's what I hear. That's what I hear.
Forever young.
Every time I'll think about it, I'll think of that song and that one magical season we had with the Locked On Hornets newsletter.
And Mel Gibson?
And I will think about Mel Gibson every single time, and then I'll become sad. Sicko Satchel time. What you got, Doug?
Okay, from the Sicko Satchel, which you can find on our subtext line, which still exists. Join subtext.com/Locked On Hornets for a 14-day free trial. It is the official home of the Sicko Satchel, where you can ask your sickest, most disgusting Hornets fan questions. And this one comes from Casual Hindu of the first Lance Stevenson division, really leaning into the idea of the Sicko Satchel here, writing this. What is the most that you would give up for Giannis? AKA, you are Jeff Peterson. Giannis is available. What's your offer? If we get the first overall pick in this draft, I'm sending it for Giannis. And this was actually written to us before Giannis lost the fourth game in that series, or not Giannis. I mean, the Bucks lost the fourth game in that series against the Pacers. So Giannis not in the playoffs anymore, and a ton of questions swirling around Giannis's future in Milwaukee because Milwaukee's out of options. They're out of draft picks. They're capped.
It's a terrible situation. They're in a terrible situation, and it's unfortunate. The good news for them is they got the ring. They got it done. They'll forever have that hardware, and that's all they need from a tenure. They need one. Maybe you could argue. I don't even know if you could argue it's disappointing. I mean, Milwaukee got a championship, man. So they got one, whatever. But they got rid of everything except for Giannis in the process, and the things that they got rid of in order to get something new of, it didn't work. The Dame-Giannis duo, it just did not work like anybody thought. You're now with a few first-round exits and the championship, but still with a few first-round exits. You're right. They don't own any of their picks, I think, until 2030. And there's not any young players that you feel good about. Doug, I'm not kidding. I was thinking about this yesterday as find the local angle segment. They had AJ Green out there. There's some Hornets level players out there with Giannis. Think about this. Their second best player was Gary Trent Jr.
Yeah.
It's a bad situation, and it goes to show you just how much of an absolute all-time freakazoid Giannis is. So getting back to the question, what would you give up? I'll tell you what Milwaukee will ask for. Everything. They're going to ask for all of your first round picks. They're going to ask everything. They're going to ask for all of the pick swaps. They're going to ask you for your firstborn. They're going to ask you for Bojangles. They're going to ask you for the new practice facility. And that might not be enough in the eyes of Milwaukee. I think if you're the Hornets and you get the first overall pick, lottery hits May 12th. We see the Hornets logo revealed last. We're all celebrating. We're drunk. We're fat and happy. All of it, right? Now you have a little bit of a more valuable chip to say, hey, maybe you don't get Bojangles. We like our chicken biscuits around here. I mean, we got a little bit of play. They're still going to ask for it. You can go back and negotiate. I think you would have a real chip to push into the center of the table with having Cooper Flagg. I'll tell you this. I'd pull the trigger. I would. We can go back and forth, but Doug, I'd pull the trigger on some kind of good faith negotiation. And this is not going to be in good faith, honestly. Like this is a drag out fight of a negotiation, and it should be. It should be for Milwaukee. It should be for Charlotte. But in the back and forth, I find myself in all probability pulling the trigger on Giannis because it's freaking Giannis, and I don't care if he's making a ton of money, and I don't care he's 30 years old. I'm probably pulling the trigger.
Yeah, I think here's what you do if you're Charlotte. You say, look, Milwaukee, if you win the lottery, you say, look, Cooper Flagg is a sure thing. That's something that you can immediately restart your rebuild with. Who else is going to give you that option? Even if you go and get 4 or 5 picks from some other team with any kind of protections on them, even if they're all unprotected. You know, this stupid deal with Mikal Bridges in New York messed up everything. Everyone's expectations of picks. And then on top of that, the Luka deal, when only 1 pick went, you know, yes, Anthony Davis was involved too, but everything's messed up.
We went from Rudy Gobert to Mikal Bridges to Luka Doncic. It's been a wild couple of deals that we've seen.
So I think you could go to them and say, look, Cooper Flagg, 1 other pick, whether they want a Charlotte pick or a Miami pick or a Dallas pick that are looser protected. And maybe if you just want to put a face on it, you can do some kind of added 2 picks that are heavily protected so that it equals 3 or 4 so that people don't point and laugh at John Horst in Milwaukee like they point and laugh at Nico Harrison so that John Horst doesn't get booed out of his own arena. There's probably some face saving that has to happen. And then in terms of contracts, you've got to match, I think, like $55 million. You get Giannis for guaranteed for 2 seasons, player option for the 3rd season.
At 62 mil there on that player option.
Yeah. So, you know, you're sending Miles, you're probably sending Yusuf, and you got to send 1 other player. And so if you needed to sweeten the deal or needed to maybe get some of those picks even more heavily protected, you know, maybe you can convince them, hey, Tijan Salon, this is a project, somebody that that has star potential. And then, you know, you just hope that they leave you one of either Hugo the Hornet or Super Hugo. Like you say, can you just leave us? Look, we want Hugo. Hugo is the original. You can have Super Hugo. He's a little bit more fit. You can sell him. Look, he's got like a 6-pack. We're not sure if the 6-pack is real or if it's fake, but take Super Hugo and leave us regular Hugo.
He does this cool, like, fly on the window dunk. Oh, man, you guys need to check it out. It's awesome. Yeah. I don't know how you make that work with Bucks, but you have them. Whatever, man. You guys are creative. Feel free to do what you want. You know, the Hornets have a couple of picks that they're working with. They have all of the second-round picks that they've acquired. They also have the Miami pick, which could still turn into a 2028 top 2 or unprotected. I think it's unprotected, excuse me. Yeah, so it could turn into a 2028 unprotected pick. Right now, it's 2027 lottery protected for Miami. You have the Dallas Mavericks 2027 top 2 protected pick on top of having every single one of your selections. And again, all of the second rounds. Maybe the Bucks would look to take advantage of the Hornets and say, okay, I want all of them. I want 6. Mikal went for 5. Yeah, but perhaps you would just draw the line. This is the thing. It's hard to draw the line when you're going after Giannis, right? There's almost an unseriousness with drawing a line going after Giannis. Well, we're giving you Cooper. You can't have this last first rounder. If the sticking point is a first round pick,
yeah,
then like if the Bucks are saying okay, no, we just won't give up our star to Charlotte, and you don't get this freakazoid star unless you give us this extra first-round pick. Is Jeff Peterson and this organization really going to stick to their guns and say, well, we almost had a deal done, but they wanted another first-round pick, and we just weren't going to do that? I get it's a lot, but it's also Giannis, and I just find it hard that would be the sticking point to say, okay, no deal, this is over, and then you walk away from the table.
It's Giannis, and if you can do that with LaMelo and Brandon Miller in tow, like that's automatic playoff team with the potential to win a playoff series for the first time in over 20 years. That would be difficult. I know they don't want to skip steps, but that would be a very difficult opportunity to pass up, particularly when you're bringing back a guy in Giannis who enjoys playing in a small market, who does things the right way, who is still developing his game. If you haven't been paying attention to Giannis and Milwaukee this season, he developed a mid-range jumper that was a difference maker for Milwaukee this season. And so, yes, look, they would have to do some things to build some shooting talent around him, but Brandon Miller is going to be that. LaMelo is going to be that. If those three guys stay healthy, that fundamentally changes the Hornets' prospects for winning in a way that even Cooper would not in the first year or two, I think. It's not going to take time like a raw prospect would, but I think it's still going to take time to continue to build that team. The last thing I'll say about this is if you do it, it does lock you up in terms of your ability to maneuver. It puts you in the situation, because of LaMelo Ball's contract size, it puts you in a similar situation that a lot of teams are in. It's going to throw you way over the cap. This would be a real test of like, how much do the new owners want to spend to win? Because that would really lock up the books for a few years.
I actually have a few more thoughts on it. It's too fun. I'm sorry, Casual Hindu did a nice job sending this question in. Coming up next on the Locked On Hornets podcast.
Sorry, Moussa.
We'll give you some finishing thoughts. Hey, I have a glowing review of Moussa, so I'm sorry, good things. We'll have to wait on this one because I do have a glowing review of what Moussa Diabate did this season. That's all still to come. Locked On Hornets. But first, I want to tell you that this episode is brought to you by Car Gurus. Shopping for a car should be exciting, not exhausting. But between the confusing prices and hidden fees, it can feel overwhelming. That's why I love using Car Gurus. They help you cut through the noise and show you the best deals with full confidence. With over 4 million listings, Car Gurus has more new and used cars than any other major online marketplace for the U.S. They verify dealers, provide real price analysis, and give you the tools and data you need to make the right choice without second guessing yourself. Need a deal you can trust? Car Gurus makes it easy to compare vehicles side by side with unbiased price deal ratings, plus the in-depth vehicle details give you peace of mind before stepping onto any lot. It's no wonder similar web estimated traffic data shows Car Gurus is the #1 most visited car shopping site. Buy or sell your car today with Car Gurus at cargurus.com. Go to cargurus.com to make sure your big deal is the best deal. That's CARGURUS. Cargurus.com. Cargurus.com. More Locked On Hornets ahead. More Giannis thoughts. This is the hardcore sicko in me, Doug. Mm-hmm. I don't feel good about this thought, but it is a thought, and I'm going to share it with the people. Toronto won a championship by doing this sort of thing. They didn't give up everything that the Hornets would have to give up, right? Like, I go back to that trade and think it was a pretty obvious trade to make with Toronto. I know they loved DeMar DeRozan. I get that was a hometown, or I should say homegrown player for them, but it was time. Toronto wasn't getting anywhere with that formation of the team, so I thought it was very much so time. I know there was a little bit of a risk going after Kawhi, but it's freaking Kawhi too. So, anyways, I thought it was an easier deal to make. But anyways, the spirit of what was happening, that would be true here too, right? You're going after another team's homegrown star and looking to compete, and in their case, they won a championship, and then he left. I'm not saying Giannis would leave because he's under contractual control. The idea would be to have him for a couple of years. But you are taking somebody else's star and winning with them, and that person will never be a Hornet. When that person goes to the Hall of Fame, they'll be a Buck. That's what they'll be. So is there any thought whatsoever to, if you have the first overall pick, this is all contingent on having that first overall selection. Is there any thought to wanting to go at it with a guy that has the homegrown story? Cooper Flagg was drafted number 1 overall. He's the guy that led us, like Giannis led Milwaukee to a championship, instead of stealing someone from another small market city. And he so clearly identifies with that city and will never, ever be a true citizen of what our city is. Even if we love him so, he'll never be ours. He'll be Milwaukee's. Any thought to that whatsoever?
No. None. Zero.
Yeah.
Zilch. Nada. Absolutely not. I'm going to be the Stephen A. Smith meme. We don't care. It has been 20, I'm going to say it again, 23 years since the Charlotte Hornets celebrated a playoff series victory. Just one series victory. It has been 23 years. Mm-hmm. No, I don't care. I don't care if they've lived in the United States or if they're international. I don't care if the Hornets drafted them. I don't care about anything. I think the Hornets need a talent infusion, and whether it's Giannis or someone else, I hope that LaMelo Ball continues to grow and develop, and that Charles Lee and him have a flourishing relationship. I think this question gets more interesting when you're talking about the Hornets not getting the number 1 overall pick. And if Milwaukee says, okay, well, you can give us 3 or 4 picks, but we also want Brandon Miller, now things start to get a little bit more like, I don't know. That's going to be that's difficult.
Yeah.
But no, I don't care. I don't care. Giannis would be immediate entry into the postseason. And it's not a situation where next year you've got to start sweating about him leaving. You've got some time to convince a player again who has been very clear about his love for playing for small markets. Like, this is not, no, absolutely not.
No,
get him.
You're 100% right, except for when I hope that people don't think that you were alluding to when you said, I don't care if he's international or born in the United States. Let the record show, neither do I, okay? That's not what I was talking about. I very much don't care.
I'm saying there's nothing that would discourage. I don't care. I don't care.
I know. What I'm saying is, when I mentioned, I'm not going, he needs to be a citizen of the United States. I'm not doing that.
No, he doesn't need to play. No, he doesn't. He doesn't need to play college. He doesn't need to play college in North Carolina. He doesn't need to be someone that, again, the Hornets brought up and found under a rock. Like, none of that mattered. What my point there was, nothing matters except he is an uber talented tank that doesn't have the same risks that Kawhi brought on with injuries or commitment to the regular season. This guy is all about all of the right stuff. And in fact, nothing more than that showed than last night after he got into an altercation with Tyrese Halliburton's dad, who came onto the court celebrating and saying, like, this is what we're effing about, to Giannis, as he's just standing there trying to take in the fact that he lost. And yes, he got heated in that moment, but afterwards he showed so much grace. Everybody did, including Tyrese Halliburton's father. But he's just all about the right stuff, man. I mean, this would just be a no-brainer.
Yeah. All of that was wrapped in comedy. I was just joking. I got Branson bulldozed on that one. That was the biggest bulldoze performance, I think, ever. Like, I was trying to explain the comedy of it all, and you said no. And then you started to go into the dad
23
altercation.
Years. 23. This is what I'm just telling you. This is trauma. This is psychic trauma.
Back it up. Put it in reverse.
Of 23 years. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You don't have to apologize. Giannis is the way to go if it's on the table. You want to go to the next segment and just have a long segment about Moussa, or do you want to do some Moussa stuff here?
Let's take it to the next segment. We'll do Moussa. We'll do mock draft, Eminem segment.
Coming up next on the Locked On Hornets podcast.
Bees everywhere.
Season in review. Moussa Diabate, is he untouchable in a potential trade with Giannis Antetokounmpo? Find out next. This episode is brought to you by Wayfair. Spring is here, and that means it's home project season. Whether you're refreshing a room or tackling a full renovation, Wayfair is the best-kept secret for all things home improvement. From small updates like stylish cabinet hardware to major upgrades like new vanities, sinks, or outdoor lighting, Wayfair has quality products for every budget. What you could do is you could upgrade your kitchen, your bathroom, your living space with Wayfair, and the selection is incredible. Their free and fast shipping makes it easy. There's no hauling heavy items from the store. And plus, I love that they have top brands like GE and Moen at great prices. Wayfair makes home improvement easy. Get started now at wayfair.com. That's Wayfair, Wayfair, wayfair.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. This episode is also brought to you by Gametime. Hit it, Doug. Gametime.
Gametime.
There's nothing like the atmosphere of an NBA playoff game. Every bucket, every defensive stop, every moment feels huge. It's electric in the arena, and with Gametime, you can be part of it without the stress of last-minute ticket hunting. Gametime makes it easy and fast to get playoff tickets, too, even with demand being so sky-high. Prices on the app actually go down as the tip-off gets closer, and their last-minute deals can save you up to 60%. They give you priority last-minute deals where you can save up to that 60% off buying last-minute for sports or concerts, comedy, theater, and more. Plus, they give you all-in pricing, which means there's no surprise fees at checkout. What you see is what you pay. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNBA, LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. More Locked On Hornets ahead. Season in review time. Moussa Diabate. He was the beloved player this past season. Here's his story because it's a fun one. So we were watching Summer League, and there were a couple of guys that we really liked in Summer League. It was our first Summer League team that we actually enjoyed in forever. They had a point guard. They had even a couple of ball handlers. We liked Mo Gee.
Mo Gee.
We were the guys for Gee. I remember that storyline.
Giddy for Gee.
Yeah, we were. We were all sorts of hot and bothered for Gee. We liked a little Jake Stevens because he could shoot a little bit. I remember the days of Drew Pember because of his UNC Asheville local ties. I remember Pember. Do you? Where were you? They didn't keep any of them, Doug. None of the Summer League guys. Even if we liked that Summer League team, we were all a little perplexed. Hey, wait a minute. These guys were actually good and you don't keep them? Well, they go out and they get a guy in Moussa Diabate. They go sign him to a two-way contract after playing for the Clippers for a little while. And they sign him late July 31st, actually. Like, okay, cool. Here's what he provides. I mean, I guess I would have gone for Gee, who showed some shooting chops, but whatever. They go out and they get Moussa. And then he plays a little bit. He actually plays 15 minutes in that opener for the season, 15 minutes in that game. Like, okay, cool. He's fun. We'll see what he's got in store for us. 10 minutes here and there, 8 minutes, 7 minutes. And then you get to this stretch of basketball games where he starts playing 20. He actually played 28 in a win against Indiana where he grabbed 15 rebounds and scored 0 points. And then it was on. Oh my God, 0 points and 15 rebounds for this Moussa kid. And then all he would do is get double-digit rebounds, like some monster performances, a couple of 15 totals. He got a 16 total in that overtime win against Detroit. He had quite a few 11 total rebounds, just an absolute monster on the board. And then we got to a point where early on we asked, hey, are we going to turn this two-way contract into a multi-year deal? We got a smile when I asked that to Charles Lee. He said, me and Jeff are talking about it. We figure out basketball decisions. We talk about it every single day. It happens, Doug. He gets his two-way converted to a multi-year deal in February. After he dunks on Wemby, just a couple days later, he gets that multi-year contract, and everybody loves him, including the fans. Moussa, what a success story in terms of a two-way contract player, leading the team in games played. That's a Hornet stat, maybe as much as it is a Moussa stat. It's good and bad, but Moussa became a beloved player this year.
Yeah, seventh on the team in minutes and leading the team in games played as a two-way player, gets off the two-way contract. Yeah, you're right, man. I mean, everything that you said, I'll just double down on it. I mean, he was the mascot for Hornets DNA. He is a preview of what I hope that Jeff Peterson and Charles Lee will continue to advocate for, bring in, develop in the players, because he is everything from a heart perspective, from a drive perspective that you see in these NBA playoffs. You see these teams that are being successful. The Pacers, the Clippers, the organization that he came over from, are just full of Moussa Diabate level heart players. I'm going to give my everything on every play. That's how you win in the NBA playoffs. You just have 9 to 11 dudes that are all like that, and they all have varied skill levels. And so, with Moussa Diabate, I think that's where his development comes in. Can you develop some of the offensive versatility skills? Because I think defensively, there's a lot that he does right. And, other than him just being a little bit undersized, there's nothing you can do about that other than pair players around him that counter that. But he plays bigger than he is. But offensively, he's got to get a bit more versatile. And I don't just mean the three-point shot, although it would help tremendously if, he was a 34% three-point shooter on like 2 to 3 shots per game. That would be fantastic. It would help open up a lot for this offense if they had more players like that. But I also mean just in the ways that he can score. If there's any level of development that can happen there, I think that would help as well. So, yeah, I love him. I love him as a Hornets DNA mascot. I question, if this team continues to focus on player development next season and not winning, I could very much see him having a large role on this team. But when you look at Tijan Salon, Mark Williams, Moussa Diabate, Grant Williams wasn't healthy all year. You're adding him back into the mix. Whatever happens in the draft, you're suddenly looking at a big rotation that you're going to have to figure some things out. You're going to have to prioritize some things. So I think Moussa Diabate may get caught up in that. But man, and then the final thing I'll say is, as much as we've gassed up Moussa Diabate, and you sort of alluded to this, his games played being a Hornets question more than anything, is like, is it a good thing that it feels like for 3 straight seasons, the most exciting player on the team, the one that is the mascot, that everyone loves, that everyone gravitates towards, that everyone is like makes jokes about, like in terms of, I'm not giving up Moussa Diabate for Giannis Antetokounmpo, ha ha ha. Like that player, why is that player coming from LA's G League team? Like, why isn't that player one of the players that the Hornets have drafted or the Hornets went out and made a trade for and have been developing for a few years? Like, at some point, we'll know this Hornets team is healthy and serious and a threat when the most exciting player is not someone they picked up from another team's G League team like 3 days before camp started.
I think the good news is the guys they identify on other teams, they all fall under that umbrella where they do fit Hornets DNA, and you're starting to see a trend of that. I do trust this regime after what we've seen the first year and a half on identifying those guys. I would say of all the guys that we've fallen in love with that fit the bill of what you were talking about over the last 3 years, I think Moussa is the best, and by quite a wide margin of all of them. So here, let's talk about how much we can value Moussa in the transition before we end today's show. Like I know that there are clearly limitations to his game. You don't come in on a 2-way contract without having actually pretty serious limitations to your game. The Clippers are a really good basketball team, and they said, hey, we just don't have enough spots, man. Like, it is what it is. The Hornets like him, so they pick him up. I value him a lot, even as they make this transition to look to contend in the postseason. A couple reasons why. Like, we can get to all the defensive metrics. Like, we can get through some of the analytics, too. He actually helped this team offensively. They were better with him on the floor offensively, which was a surprise. I thought that might be 50-50, but they were plus 3.3 points better per 100 possessions with him on the floor. Defensively, they were better with him on the floor. The offensive rebounding was, kind of silly good. He was top 5 in overall rebounding impact in the league, according to Basketball Impact. He was in Basketball Index, Moussa was number 4 there. So, like, Moussa Diabate does a lot of really awesome things. Here's what I value most, man. As you make this transition to contend in the playoffs, the question becomes, how much can you keep him on your roster? And I hope that they do. As an 8th, 9th, 10th guy on your bench, he helps you win in the playoffs by helping you win in the regular season. When these other contenders don't want to play all that hard in the regular season because they want to take a rest, Moussa's intensity level is actually kind of bonkers. It's through the roof. He just doesn't take a play off. That sucks to play against, okay?
Yeah.
You don't want to play against that guy. So can he steal you a couple of wins in the regular season that matters for seeding down the road? I think the answer to that question is yes. If the Hornets, as currently constructed, which means that there are some Hornets issues with this as well, for sure. It's double-edged sword in that regard. But Moussa helps you win basketball games defensively and offensively, and he also helps you win basketball games on the practice court. With Mark Williams having questions about his physicality, you know what you can't let up on if you're going against Moussa? Physicality, because he's going to embarrass you. He's going to embarrass the level of competition, whoever he goes up against. And if you're caught loafing, then you will get exposed in front of a nationally televised audience and in front of your peers on the practice court. Exactly. That stuff matters. That stuff matters, man. So if you really want to change your culture and you really want to change the way that this team plays basketball, you want people to care, Moussa Diabate is someone that I am exhausting all opportunities to keep on my roster as that 8th, 9th, 10th guy. I'm not getting rid of him. Right, within realistic scenarios that you could draw up for me, I'm just not getting rid of him because that guy matters. And huge salute. I mean, Nurkic gave a glowing review. Such a relentless offensive rebounder. Since I've been here, I feel like he has more rebounds on offense than defense, which is ridiculous to me. Absolutely love his fearlessness. Miles Bridges was talking about how, just an all-time team guy. And I think this is he's a fun player. He's kind of cool. He turned into actually like a legitimately good player, to where he can make that transition to a winning basketball team as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, forget national TV game, forget regular season game. He is a don't give a bleep detector in practice. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you want to know if a player in the middle of the season is just like not giving full effort in the few practices that they get, or particularly in training camp at the beginning of the season, you're going to figure that out because they're going to get embarrassed by guys like Moussa Diabate. Every team has to have at least a few of those guys on their roster, and Moussa is that. He was 6th on the team this season in estimated plus-minus according to dunks and threes, but he's 3rd if you just count the guys who were there from the beginning of the season and who stayed healthy through the season. It's LaMelo, and then it's Miles, and then it's Moussa, and in between there is Yusuf Nurkic, Josh Okogie, and Brandon Miller. So that's, more than Mark, more than Josh Green, more than Tijon Salon, Nick Smith Jr. Moussa Diabate was definitely showing out this season relative to what I think any of us expected. And finally, I've got to get my mock draft in before we end, and I've got a huge announcement here, a huge update. You may have seen me react to it while Walker was talking about Moose there. Gary Parrish of CBS has updated his mock draft 2 days ago. Updated it 2 days ago. And he's not only switched it so that the Hornets have the 3rd pick, because he had them having the 4th pick for some reason, which we talked about with Nada. Maybe Nada did, who produces the Eye on College Basketball podcast with Gary Parrish. Maybe he went and said, hey, Gary, switch up the logos. Not only did he do that, but he has a new pick for the Charlotte Hornets, and it is Trey Johnson out of Texas.
At number 3.
Someone that I love. So VJ slips to 4, Ace slips to 5. Trey is an absolute shooter. I think people are sleeping on his defensive upside. I don't think he's going to be elite, but I think he's somebody that is going to get better defensively as he matures in the NBA. Trey Johnson, someone, I was looking this up, only 4 players this season had an above average 3-point shooting accuracy. It was Trey Mann, Grant Williams, Brandon Miller, and then I don't have it pulled up in front of me. It was one other player. So 3 of them were injured, and then a 4th, and that was it. And Isaiah Wong, I think, was one of them as well, but I didn't count Isaiah Wong because he didn't play very much. But everybody else was below average. Even the shooters that you think, oh, that's a good shooter. Oh, it was Yusuf. No, it wasn't Yusuf Nurkic. Yusuf Nurkic didn't shoot very well either. But it was just so many players were below average from shooting. Trey Johnson would be an instant infusion of good shooting on this team. Yeah,
38.4% off the dribble, 48.8% catch and shoot. Off the dribble number is pretty impressive. Yeah, really like that. So maybe Trey Johnson picks up a lot of steam heading into the NBA draft. All right, that'll do it for Locked On Hornets. Thanks for making us your first listen. We're free and available anywhere you get your podcast. That includes YouTube. Go check out everyhornetsboxscore.com and let Doug know if you want him to continue to work extra hard by letting him know about the newsletter, some of the stuff that he was giving you with his opinions on these games that would take place during the regular season. So let him know if you want him to continue that as we go on. Where can they contact you, Doug? Just YouTube channel?
Yeah, just put it in the comments on the YouTube video, or if you're already subscribed to Every Hornets Box Score, just hit me up in the chat and let me know. And thank you to everyone who did subscribe to the Locked On Daily newsletter, and hopefully you stop on by everyhornetsboxscore.com to enjoy more of what's in this very sick brain of mine.
Yeah, the still new Locked On Hornets daily newsletter, by the way.
Forever young,
I'm Walker Mail.
Forever young.
Listen to me every weekday, 12 to 3 p.m., WFNZ Sports Radio 92.7 FM. Have a great rest of your day. We'll be back with you tomorrow.